Hello and welcome to this demo on Active Directory. So in this particular demo, we'll be showing how to, or I'll be showing how to configure some Active Directory security policies, mainly related to restricted groups, and also how to do auditing for whenever groups are changed in your Active Directory environment, how to configure that. So the main thing behind this set of surveys is to just do just basic demonstrations and tasks within Active Directory, sort of like a video cookbook. So let's get right to it. So in this environment, I have three machines currently switched on. So I have this domain controller LONDC1. I have another one which is LONDC2, and then I have another member server, which is LON server 1, and this is LON DC2. Okay, so let's get right to it. First of all, I'll open Active Directory using computers, and I'll create a new OU that I'll put member servers in my environment into this OU. So I'll call these term servers. And what I'll do is I'll drag these two member servers in my environment, drag them into this OU. And confirm that they are in this OU indeed. Okay, so the next thing will be to bring up group policy management. So the way that we're going to be configuring some of these policies is using group policy management. Now, group policy has been around for a long time in Active Directory, and actually, like some of the more modern mobile device management technologies that we're seeing that are still evolving. If you think about them, many of them still behave in a similar way that group policy behaves, which is you have a central pane of management. So group policy, I think, even in going into areas like Active Directory or Azure Active Directory, is still something that's relevant. Okay, so we have the OU that we created here. We've moved our computers into that OU. I'll create a group policy object and link it to that OU. So let's call this restricted groups. Restricted groups for member servers. Okay, so I'll click OK to that, and I'll edit this policy. So editing it allows me to configure the settings that I really like to configure. So the settings I want to configure are under policies, Windows settings, under security settings, restricted groups here. So just so we can confirm afterward whether what we've done is effective or not. So we have this member server here, LON server 1 again. And if I go under computer management and view the current members of the local administrators group. So this local administrators group on this member server, we have that's some domain admins, and we have the local administrator account. So what I want to do is to add another group into this administrator account and do it centrally. So that way I can apply that to multiple servers or machines or clients at the same time. Makes life easier. And we can also use the same process to govern the membership of these groups. Because what I can do is the same process I used to add an account or an identity or a group or a security group into this group. I can use the same process to remove groups or identities from this group. So in other words, just providing some level of governance and control with that. So let's go back to our domain controller, and I'll right click this group and click add group. And the group I'll be adding is administrators, which lines up with what we have here, which is the administrators. That's the name of the group, administrators. Okay, so I have the group here, I've added that, and I'll add the members I want to be in that group. So again, we'll keep the domain admins, members of that group, but I have another group called IT. So let's say this represents system administrators in my environment. and I don't want to take away the local administrators group, so I will just add that into that also, which is administrator. Okay, and click OK to that, and I apply that. So right now, just by closing out of that and clicking OK, this policy is already in effect. So this is something that you will obviously not want to do in a production environment, creating a GPU and linking it immediately. You probably want to link it to a test OU first, or whatever method you use to test group policies in your environment. And after confirming it's working, it's not breaking anything, then you can roll it out to production or use in your environment. But going further, if I go to Learn Server 1, like as mentioned, this policy is already in effect. So if I bring up a shell window, let's increase the font on this a bit. Yeah, and I'll just do a group policy refresh, do a group GPU update / first, and present that to that. Okay, and what I should see with this one is if I go ahead and refresh this guy, go on the administrators. Actually, I need to close out of this completely. Just make sure. So again, I have my restricted groups here, administrators, and we have either some domain admins, either some IT and administrator in that group. Let's close out of this. Let's go back to this. And let's force a group policy update. And before going ahead, I'll just confirm that my new policy has been applied. So under the computer section here, yep, got restricted groups for member servers. Okay, so let's go confirm if this has done anything. Under computer management, again, I opened go on the groups, administrators, and here we go. Now we have a Datum IT group, which wasn't there originally. Let's say for some reason this user has created a local user account and added the user into this. I can use the same process that I've used here. I can use the same process to maintain control of that group. So if the user has anyone that's not a member of the group that of the groups that I've specified in my group policy object, then they'll be kicked out. They'll be removed when next the computer does a policy refresh. For client computers, policy refresh happens in the background every 90 minutes. There's a bit of an offset to that. But for domain controllers, that happens in the background every 5 minutes. Okay, so let's go on. Let's go on to this. Now that's for the member server. We've confirmed that that's effective. So let's do the same thing, something similar for our domain controller. So if I expand my domain controllers OU from group policy management and just edit my default domain controllers policy, and I'll be going under the same settings, Windows settings, security settings. But this time around, going back to my domain controller, if I go on the built-in here, I have some built-in groups and groups that whenever I set up this domain controller were set up automatically during that process. So I have some built-in groups like account administrators and server operators there, and I can see the members currently has no members. I can use this process, the same process, to govern memberships of these groups, so that if an admin were to come and add themselves to server operators, for example, if it's not something that I've configured in this policy here, the account will be kicked out when next the domain controller does a policy refresh. Okay, so let's go to restricted groups, and in this case, let's add group, and I'll just browse in this case and look for server operators. Okay, and that's the group I want to control or restrict in this case. And here, I'll go ahead and add group. And actually, I think I'll just add domain admins to this group. check names and click OK. So now I'm adding domain admins to this group and apply there. And OK. So now if I force a group policy update, again, let's make this much bigger. Okay. GP updates / force. And let's just wait for that to apply. And so what should happen at the end of this is if I look under the server operators group here, I should see domain admins in there after it's applied. I'll just pause this for a while and then pick it up once it's finished. Okay, this completed now. So now if I go back on the Active Directory using computers and go under the server operators members, now we have the domain admins. If I go here and add someone here, no, yeah. So I've had Brad Sutton into this group and I go ahead and apply that. And just to confirm, I'll just double click on this again. And here we go. On the members, we have Brad Sutton there. And if I do another group policy refresh, what will happen is Brad Sutton will be kicked out because only members that have configured in the restricted groups are allowed to be in the group. So that's a way to provide some level of governance for certain groups within Active Directory. So now it's applied that. So let's go ahead and go back to this one and go members. Yeah, there you go. Brad's gone. We've got this. So we can do I can do the same thing for any of these groups here. I can do the same thing for print operators or Hyper-V administrators or administrators or account operators. So I can do the same. So here's the thing is, let's say I want to configure some level of auditing so I can know if someone makes a change to any of these groups. How do I configure that? That's the next thing we'll be doing now. So how to implement some level of administrative auditing, because there are different things you have to consider. First of all, you want to do your best to protect your environment, but then the other thing that you should always keep in mind is if there were to be an incident in your environment, you want to be able to look back and be able to capture exactly what happened, who did what steps occurred. And to do that, you need auditing to do that. So again, back to our group policy management console. I'll just close all this. And I'll look to the default domain controller's policy again. And I'll right click it and edit it. And let's make some changes. So the first policy we'll be changing here is under Configuration Manager, under Policies, under Windows Settings, under Security Settings. And let's expand this a bit. Right down here is a folder called Advanced Audit Policy Configuration. So that's where I'll configure some audit policies for machines in this container, or in this case, my domain controller's container. Okay, so let's configure some policies there. So the first one that we'll be configuring is the DS access. So let's go on the DS access and audit directory service changes. So let's bring that up and let's see what the explanation is. As this policy setting allows you to audit events generated by changes to objects in Active Directory domain services. Events are logged when an object is created, deleted, modified, moved, or undeleted. When possible, events logged in this subcategory indicates the old and new value of the object property. So this just basically means, enable this, and then any changes to your Active Directory object will be logged on the event log. So that's one of the things I want to configure. So I'll go ahead and configure the following audit settings. I'll just select success. If you want, you can configure this for success and also for failure audits also. But in this case, I'll be doing that of just success audit event. Okay. I'll apply that and go back on the group policy management console. So I've enabled that. I'm auditing just success event in this case. Okay. And the next step that I'll be doing is I'll be going on the Active Directory Advanced Audit Policy Configuration also. I'll go on the Account Management and on the Audit Security Group Management. So let's bring that up. Let's see the explanation. It says this policy setting allows you to audit events generated by changes to security groups, such as the following. Security group is created, changed, or deleted. Member is added or removed from a security group. Group type is changed. So this is a different level of auditing. So the first one is if any object is changed or modified. This one is specifically targeting security groups. And this one that I want also. So I'll configure this and I'll configure success also. There's nothing wrong if you want to configure failure. This is especially useful to your security team. If you have people that are dedicated looking at the logs, this is specifically useful to them because they can use it to detect if there's an attack that's going on within your environment. Maybe someone is constantly trying to modify the domain admins group. Even though it's failing, you want to know what's going on. Okay, so I'll just configure success for now and I'll apply that. And click OK to that. Okay. The next policy that we'll go for, let's go here. So under computer configuration policies, under Windows settings, security settings, and then local policies. So let's expand local policies here. And under security options here. And the policy that I'm looking for in this case will be audit. Yeah, here we go. Audit, first audit subcategory settings. And let's take the explanation. It says Windows. It says audit, first audit subcategory settings, Windows Vista and later versions of Windows allow audit policy to be managed in a more precise way using audit policy subcategories. Setting audit policy at the category level will override the new subcategory audit policy feature. Group policy only allows audit policy to be set at the category level. And existing group policy may override the subcategory settings of new machines as they are joined to the domain. So again, this is something that in some of our other hangouts we've already described. So just check out some of our other videos. So I'll enable this policy and I'll apply this. And yeah, let's do a group policy update and foster. Okay, so there's something else that I'll do. So if we go back on that to directory users and computers, in the environment, you may want to make sure that you have the advanced features checked. So have that checked. So that allows you to have more visibility, things you won't see if you didn't have that checked. So I have that checked already. So if I go on the hardatum.com, I'll go under the properties, I'll go under security and under the advanced tab here. And if I go under auditing, so auditing, I'm auditing everyone. It says, but this applies to this object only. So what I'll do is I'll modify this and I'll say don't only apply this to this object, apply this to this object and all its descendants. I want you to audit everyone and apply that. So then the auditing that I've configured now applies to everyone. Okay. So let's test this. So if I go on the user here and let's expand this and see domain admins here. So what I'll do, I'll go to members tab and let's add someone to this group. Let's add Benno to this group and let's apply that. Okay. And then if I go under the marketing OU and speak Anna, and let's just make a bit of changes to Hannah's account. So on the organization, on the address, let's change the location from London. Let's change it to Manchester and let's apply that. So now I've made two changes. I've added a new member to domain admins group, and I've also modified the user account. So let's check if I'll be able to view all these changes in event view. So if something has happened and I need to trace it back, will I be able to see what changes was made, who made the changes in terms of the object in Active Directory security group that we modified? And let's see that. Okay, so let's go on the security because that's the policy that we configured. And let's see, event 4728. Okay, let me open this one up. And the event said a member was added to a security enabled global group. Who made the change? Adatum administrator made the change, which is the account I'm logged in with. And what did I do? It said I added an account called Adatum Beno, which is what I did. I added that account to this group called Adatum Domain Admin. So now you can see security group management is the task. The keyword is audit success. So it's saying this person made this change. It was successful. That's the person that made the change. This was the change that they made. And I can see all that clearly in the event log. And also the other change I made was to, so you can see target username, domain admins, member name that was added, Beno. So that's a very good one. Okay, let's close there. Let's go up a bit. It says a directory service object was modified. What did the modification? That's from administrator. Um, what was modified? It said, okay, yeah, this one is still back to the change I made. It said this value member was added to this object. So let's go a step further. Let's see if we see any other auditing event. Yep. So it says a directory service object was modified also. I can see Edatum administrator, which is the user that made the change to an Abedex account. That's the object that the change was made on. And one change happened. This value happened to this value London, because that was the city that was configured for HANA before. And then if I go to the next event, it says that value changed from London and the value is now Manchester. So that's a really good one because that gives you a little bit of insight um, to what changes are going on in your Active Directory environment. And this one is really important because whenever you configure your Active Directory environment, always make sure you configure security policies. In one of the other demos that we did for Active Directory demo, we talked about password settings object. You have to make sure you configure the password settings object to set the password policies, but you also make sure you configure the restricted groups. Make sure that you configure your auditing, and you probably want to do some level of log moving or log transfer, so you have your log saved in a central space somewhere. And so whenever the logs roll over, you still have a record of what happened. So I hope that was really helpful for you, and just look forward for more videos on Active Directory tasks and demonstration. This will be a really good series. Thanks very much. See you later. Bye.